Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm a senior this year from Liverpool, New York, which is about 15 or 20 minutes away from here. I initially wanted to be in health and exercise science because I wanted to be a physician's assistant. And then I switched that career path a lot of times, and then it led me to athletic training. As of this last summer, I actually changed that again, and I don't want anything to do with health and exercise science. So I'm just kind of finishing out my last year. I actually am super into graphics and photography and editing. Um, so that's what I'm going to go to grad school for. Completely different career path, but that's okay. That's what I think college is for, and I'm glad that I learned what I did through this major, but it ultimately led me to, where my mentality is now. In terms of my research question, I was a vegan for around a year and a half, and that ended up not working out for me as an athlete because I'm a super picky eater, and I was very deficient in a lot of things because I wasn't getting a lot of the micronutrients I needed. So I wanted to just generally ask if having a vegan diet was something that was sustainable for an athlete, which I know that there's a bunch of research about, and I know that it's probably been discussed before, but that's just the first one that came to my head in terms of what I've been up to. I'm on the women's rowing team, I should have mentioned that. Um, but in terms of my experience with it and then just what I've been going through with practices now, and that was the first thing that came to my mind. So I found an article from the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition by David Rogerson, 2017. Um, so ultimately, in like the conclusion of it was that a lot of vegan diets are deficient in a lot of like the macronutrients and micronutrients. So I wrote those macronutrients are just like the proteins, the fatty acids, and then the micronutrients are your B12, vitamin D, iron, zinc, calcium, and iodine. So they are completely sustainable for an athlete to use, during their duration of hard training or anything like that. Just as long as you're either getting it talked about, I think, creatine supplementation, because that's something that vegans can lack in as well if they're not putting it into their diet, like doing it properly and staying sufficient with what they need to stay healthy and promote muscle growth and have, their muscles built upon. By getting the right supplements that they need and eating the right foods. So completely sustainable. Um, but they might just end up their diets are usually lower in caloric value, so they might just need to eat more of these foods that have the micro and macronutrients. So it is totally sustainable if you're not a picky eater like me, where I wasn't getting enough of either of those really to have it be sustainable for me. But it is very sustainable as long as you're replacing it with the right nutrients and the right food and in taking what you need to. Yeah, that was a little bit about me, and that was my research question. So potentially see you guys in class.